we're back. So I decided to do a shop tour for our first video back. It's been I don't know, like 7 or 8 months since I've uploaded something, just because I was getting out of the Navy. We were moving across the country in the middle of a pandemic to a house we had never seen in person, to a neighborhood we had never been to. So it was a bit chaotic there for a little bit. So I'd like to thank everybody who stuck with us and just, you know, was patient while we were working through, you know, major life changes and unprecedented times. So the reason for this shop tour video is because I originally got everything all set up, realized I wanted to change it, moved everything around. I've had it this way for about a week, and I've realized that it's not a good layout. So I reached out on Instagram and said, does anyone want to see kind of like how not to do your shop, or reasons why my current setup isn't good for my workflow basically, and why I'm going to change it. So we'll do like a kind of part 1, part 2 reasons. And everyone overwhelmingly said, yeah, we'd like to see. I think that's kind of the theme of this channel is don't do what I'm doing, you know, learn from my mistakes. So here we are. Anyway. So one of the major upgrades that we got was this SawStop 1.75 horsepower table saw with the cast iron top. It's a 36-inch extension. I wanted to get the big one, and the reason I ended up getting this was because I sold my old table saw when we left California, and obviously I needed to get a new one. So I was gonna buy the Laguna Fusion F2, but we moved out here in May, and the pandemic had everything completely shut down. I bought it, they said it was going to be 2 weeks before they could ship it, and like a month and a half went by and everything got super bogged down, and I was getting orders. They had this in stock at Rockler, so I went down there, returned the Fusion, the Laguna Fusion F2, which was about $2,000. This was about $3,000, which wasn't, like, honestly wasn't really in the budget, but I had like 6 orders that that had already been waiting for. So returned the Fusion, you know, digitally or whatever, got this one, came home, set it up, and was able to make the projects that I had ordered, and it's been a workhorse ever since. I absolutely love this thing. This is what I wanted to end up with. I want to get the upgrade at some point, but I don't have 220 running in our garage, so I need to upgrade the electrical and all that stuff. So that's a few years down the line. For anyone who's following along on Instagram, this video at the time of filming is about 4 or 5 days after I decided to test the safety feature of the SawStop with my thumb, and I can tell you this saw is worth its weight in gold. It completely saved me, you know, a quarter of my thumb and a trip to the ER and thousands of dollars and, you know, medical bills and stuff like that. I barely got a scratch on me, so definitely worth the money. I am so happy that I didn't end up getting the other saw, not because it's not, Laguna makes amazing tools, but that especially, you know, 3 or 4 months after I got this one, I set off the brake. So worked out that I ended up getting this saw when I did. So a couple things about the saw. I have a bunch of stuff right here in the fence well. And I have the eye gauging 6-inch combination square, which if you're trying to get a quality combination square and you don't want to pay $100 for this one of the Starrett brand, which is like top of the line, I got this one and a 12-inch one for I think 50 something bucks on Amazon. I'll leave links to everything I mentioned in here. Will be linked down in the description, so go check that out. I've got my tape measure. I only have one of these. I need to buy like 2 or 3 more and just kind of keep them places, like over by the miter saw and by the laser and stuff like that. This is a really good tape measure because one has this. I'm terrible with numbers, so I'm able to like write down everything in pencil, and then you can just like smudge it off and it's gone. And also, I know you can't see this, but it's lefty righty, so you can read it from this direction and from this direction, which is really, really nice. And it's got this little clip I put on there. I never end up using it. I have it on there and then I put it down and I lose it. A couple other things I got in here. You guys have seen this before. This is a Woodpecker's woodworking edge rule, which is really nice just to do quick measurements. And then I have the Woodpecker's mini T-square, not T-square, sorry, mini square. I use that thing all the time for boxes and whatnot. It doesn't really belong here. I need to put it on an assembly table, but that's part of the reason why I'm doing this video, is the assembly table problem. And then I've got an old metal ruler, just from my old combination square. And then the Wixie digital angle gauge, which I use all the time. Stick it in the back, it's magnetic, stays out of everybody's way. Last thing, not the last thing, but Rockler crosscut sled. I just picked this guy up 2 weeks ago. Love it. Everybody says like, oh, you can make your own crosscut sleds, and I have. I've made 2 in the past, and they're not really all that difficult. But this thing is awesome, and it's really easy. This thing slides out this way, so you can do angled cuts, and it's very well made, and I'm really happy with it. So the actual last thing that I got the other day was this mag switch featherboard. Why this thing's so awesome is because you can just set your piece on here. This thing slides around until you turn the magnets on, and then this thing does not move at all. Like, it's almost impossible to move. So you can keep, pressure up against the fence. They also make them for the top to keep downward pressure, which I'm gonna buy that eventually, but they didn't have any when I bought this one. And that is, last thing, actually, real last thing, sorry. This is just the 36-inch extension. So this is cast iron, so it's the center, a wing, another wing, and then the extension right here. A lot of people put router tables in here, so I don't have one. I'm eventually gonna buy a really nice one, either the Rockler Craig Lift one, or I might end up getting the Woodpeckers or the SawStop. They all make their own, with an inset right here. But in the meantime, I just drilled a hole in this, mounted my router underneath it, and it works fine. I just don't have a fence or anything like that, but that's pretty easy to just rig up a little fence for this. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is the tool wall, which I love the tool wall. I like it better than the French cleat system just because these things are easier to make. You don't have to worry about the brace on the bottom and cutting everything in half. You just, brad nail and glue a piece of plywood down to a 2x4, slap it on the wall, and then you're done. You can make custom ones if you want to put stuff on, but I like doing kind of like this one is for drill bits and other random things that I need. But it's really nice, and it's completely modular. All you have to do is take the screws out, move it wherever you want, put it back. So, a little quick walkthrough. These are like battery powered power tools that I don't use very often, but I like to have handy. This is a I don't even know what this is called, oscillating tool, right, or something. I don't know. Trim router, and then I had something else up there. I don't remember. Oh, the propane torch is usually up there too, but I don't know why. Craig stuff, and then just other random things. These are the drills, and then the glue section. These two are what I use the most, and then this one. I got the glue bots, Type On 3 and Type On 2 in there, and then this little Rockler glue, spready, silicone brush kit thing. And then this is just a bunch of other random stuff. Pencils, chisels. I got a little electric pencil sharpener in here to make sure my pencils are sharp, and then erasers and pens and super glue and all that. This is the get out of my hair. I don't really know what I'm doing with this area, so it's just a block plane and brad nails and buckets and a jigsaw and all kinds of random crap up there. And then I just bought this guy online the other day, which is really nice for organizing screws and little wood like whatever things, and these erasers and dowels and all kinds of crazy stuff that usually just take up a bunch of room and get stuck on the floor or taking up space everywhere else. And these are really nice. If you need these screws, they just pop out, take them with you over where you need, and then you put them back. It's really simple. So I really like having the tool wall. I've got other stuff up here like my Woodpecker's TS24, which is great for working with plywood and other things like that. But yeah, that's about it for this area, I think. Yeah, and then of course, Old Glory right here. Move all this stuff out of the way. All right, so this is the famed Ronald Ray gun. He is my 60 watt Orion CO2 laser. This thing works really, really well. It's much cheaper. It's a much more cost-effective solution to something like an Epilogue, which those are like, I think for a 50 watt laser that's actually smaller than this is like 10 grand, and this was only 2. So it's a good entry level if you're trying to get into laser engraving. I mean, any kind of laser you get is going to be expensive, but this has all the power to do whatever I need it to for now. Eventually this will be upgraded to a much larger laser that can fit more, basically bigger projects inside of it. It's really nice though. It has a pass-through slot right here, which that allows you to put things that wouldn't fit just inside the bay like this, lower down the bed, and then you just put it on there and then engrave that way. But all in all, it works really well. And then this is my old laptop that I used to design everything and then run the laser itself. So I'm using Lightburn software, which is really, really great. It's great. I love using it. It's really easy to use and lets you create pretty easily. Yeah, that's that. I'll do a full video on the laser if you guys are interested. Let me know about how the process goes from start to finish using the laser. It's really not as complicated as it sounds. It's pretty easy once you get moving. Okay, so this is the assembly table and my outfeed table for the table saw. This is where I do most of my work. I used to do it right over here because my sander is on a thing right here, and then I realized that when I was sanding, since I don't have any dust collection or anything set up, I was shooting all of this sawdust straight into my computer and the fan for my laser. So I decided to like pivot it over here. That way I can still use the sander and all of that. But the sawdust is now going to the either open door or nothing of importance is over here. But this is one of the biggest reasons why I decided to move the shop around. I'm going to probably take the laser and spin it so the back is up against the garage door, and move this assembly table. I'm going to redo the assembly table. I put it together with basically scraps and then one piece of plywood that I went and bought. So it's not very sturdy. It shakes a lot. So I'm going to redo this whole thing. Probably put some storage underneath. Right now underneath I've got like the big trash can, a air compressor with like the hose just like hooked on under there, and then my lunchbox planer is on wheels, so I can just pull that out, plane whatever I need to, and then slide it back in. Eventually when I upgrade to a standing planer, then I'll have to figure out where to put that. So but yeah, this is where I kind of do most of my work. It works really well because if I can stand here, you know, the outfeed portion for the blade is right here, so most of the pieces that come through here come off over here, so I can set something up, you know, sand, do whatever I need to do, and it stays out of the way from, if I need to run over to the, you know, table saw real quick, make a rib cut, I don't have to like pick all this stuff up. And then here's a little like sawhorse bench thing I have set up that used to be over there. They just moved this the other day, and it works really well to put things like set up stuff that you're using that you don't want on your actual surface. It's a little bit lower than the assembly table itself, so having a place where I can put screws and stuff that doesn't interfere with whatever I'm doing on here is really, really nice. So like clamps and stuff on there too, just things I use often. And my little Lazy Susan with sandpaper on there for spray painting and clear coating stuff. Makes it really easy. You just kind of give it a spin. But yeah, this is like this is probably going to be the biggest change, minus, well, maybe a bench over there, but the biggest change for the shop in the next couple weeks, because I need to figure out I'm going to build a better one of these. I'm going to put T-track in it and all that, and get it ready for actual like woodworking and assembly and stuff like that. I'm going to coat the top and all that stuff. So I used to have a sawhorse like little setup right here that would sit right in this area, right next to my miter saw, and for some reason I thought that would be a really good idea to have a like spray booth and stuff. So I set up this thing and all this stuff so I wouldn't like spray the walls and all that right next to a miter saw. I just spit. So after I clear coated something, or spray painted or whatever I was doing, stained something, I couldn't use my miter saw at all because all of the dust just goes all over the place. I don't have any kind of dust collection yet. That's definitely down the road. We're gonna be investing in that hopefully soon, just because this place turns into a disaster. But so I ended up moving this. That was like kind of step one, and the realization that I really didn't set things up very well. It's the same kind of situation for the laser, but this basically didn't make any sense because I couldn't do anything else with the laser or with my miter saw here until whatever this was dry. So I ended up using this area and then taking it into our laundry room or putting it on my assembly table to let like the paint dry or whatever. And it was really, really bad for the workflow. And it also ended up getting like a lot more dust nibs, whatever they're called, in the finished product. So I had to do a lot more sanding in between coats and stuff, which obviously time is money, and you're wasting time, you're wasting money. All right, so moving on from the soon to be nothing, I really haven't decided what I'm gonna put over there where my spray booth used to be. So now we're at the miter saw. This is just the rigid. It's the same one I had back in San Diego. If you guys watched that video or any of my other videos, it's one of the first tools I bought. One thing I did notice is these little Rockler foot clamps are really easily stored inside the little track for the garage door, as long as you don't open the door all the way. They sit up there pretty nice. Our garage door opener doesn't work, so it works out pretty well. I just go over here, manually lift it, and make sure I don't make it run into the clamps. Pretty easy to get to. They're out of the way of everything else. They're out of the way of the sliding, not that guy though, the sliding feature of the table saw, which is really nice, or miter saw, sorry. I have this little like outfeed, in-feed roller support. This is also from Rockler. This is really nice when you're working with stuff that's large. I eventually am going to make a miter saw station. I wasn't going to, and I actually contemplated getting rid of my miter saw completely, just because my table saw is so big now. I can do most of those crosscuts, especially now that I have a nice crosscut sled. But I've kind of come to the realization that it's really nice to have. This is a 2-car garage, so I do have the room for it. We're gonna keep it until it doesn't make sense. I also have my little firewood bucket right here. It gets cold here. We're in Indiana, so and we have a wood burning fireplace now as opposed to what we had in San Diego, which was nothing. So that's got the I can easily just take the offcuts that I'm not going to save, toss them in this little bucket right here, and then take them inside and heat up the living room. Okay, so now we go back to this is the Bora tool wood storage thing. I love this thing. It is tremendously helped with the organization. There's not just wood leaning up against the wall all the time. Everything remains flat. It's super nice. As you can see, I've got tons of stuff on here. It is not organized in the slightest, but that's okay. Eventually, I gotta make a couple more modifications. I also want to buy another set so I can store shorter stuff, and then I'm gonna do a shorts, things like, I don't know, where's one? Like this. This doesn't need to be stored horizontally or like on a rack like this. I could just have some bins down here for shorter stuff that doesn't need to be stored this way. So this was a big upgrade. Love getting that. For now, my plywood is just right up here, which works. It's up out of the way. My furnace and a bunch of stuff I don't really want dust on is over there, so that actually helps kind of keep it safe from dust particles and stuff like that. And then this is the third most ridiculous, wrong decision of this. This bench doesn't really belong here. It doesn't do much. It as you can see, it just kind of accumulates a bunch of crap. This used to be my old workbench. I used to film here. This was the main work area. But now that I have the big table saw with the outfeed, it's so much easier. And in the middle of the shop, it's so much easier just to use that I end up using that all the time. So this is gonna find a new home. I don't really know where it's gonna go, but we'll find a spot for it. Underneath it, I have all the paints and stuff like that. So ideally, I would like to have this be the spray paint kind of deal because it doesn't need a whole lot of love and care. I can spray paint it. I can do whatever I need to it. That's where it is right now. This is going to get moved. And then the other thing is this rack above my head, which I don't know if you can see yet. Okay, so immediately above that old workbench that's just sitting in the corner is this rack right here. This came with the house and it's really nice. I love having it. I just recently took a lot of stuff off of there because we found attic storage, so we got a lot of stuff up in the attic now. But I'm gonna take this whole thing down, and I just recently purchased a whole bunch of lights that are like 5,000 whatever daylight things. And the reason I did that is because this is the second video I filmed in here. The first one I filmed on Christmas Eve, most of it, and it was like 10 degrees, so I had to have that door shut, the garage door. And it is so dark in here on camera. I'm sure you can actually kind of see now. It's not the brightest, and when I was in California, it wasn't a problem. The California sun, and it's 75 degrees every day. So I always film with the door open. I get that natural daylight coming in here. But even the way our house is oriented now, with the path of the sun, it just doesn't give the same kind of light that we got in California. So I'm trying to like make it better so you can actually see what's going on in the videos. So this thing's gonna come down. I'm installing a ton of just like drop down lights in here. They're LEDs, whatever, to kind of give it more. One, it'll help me see better in here, and two, it'll actually register on camera what we're doing. But yeah, so this is gonna come down. I think I might put it over the garage door, just like really shallow, so the garage door will clear it. But it's a really nice rack. It just doesn't really work in here. It is so dark under here. You can't see anything at all if you're trying to like even work under there, you know, paint or stain something. It's really, really difficult to see with the door shut or at night. So, okay. And on to what is by far the worst decision I've made as far as organization goes in the shop. I have my bandsaw, which I love. I have a drill press that was a gift from a friend. I've got an old disc sander. I've got a scroll saw here. And then I have all of my like battery chargers on the wall right here because at one point in time, there's only 2 outlets in here, and there was one over there and one right here. So I ended up saying, well, this is gonna be the utility wall. We'll put all the batteries and stuff there. Built this bench just to house all the benchtop stuff. And it is so crowded here. And it's also right by the door. So what we end up doing is opening this door, like this area specifically behind the bandsaw. There's a hammer, spackle, another mallet, a bunch of screws, screwdriver, light bulbs. There's all kinds of stuff back there because it's the first flat surface when you walk in the door. So it ends up just being a place to store a bunch of stuff. And then underneath is a disaster as well. Like there's just bags that, tool bags that have who knows what's in them. Like it needs to all come out, be organized. They all need everything over here needs a home. This is the lost and found of my shop. Everything ends up over here if there's no spot for it. Here's the brake that saved my thumb. So thanks, SawStop, appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, there's jackets, electrical tape, and that's the saw blade. My speakers up here, the charger's over here because I don't have power over there. This whole thing, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I might move it over there, and then move the miter saw this way a little bit. I'm not sure. So there's lots of options that we're gonna have to figure out at some point. But I have these great shelves above it, which I can put all of my like spray cans and stuff like that, but I can't really reach it because of all of this stuff. Like I can get in there, but it's difficult. And if I was trying to get one in the back, I'd have to go get a step ladder, where if I could get, a foot closer. Oh, there's that. I was looking for that. And that. See, I didn't even know those were up there. So if I could get a little bit closer, I could get up there and it wouldn't be such a hassle. Yeah, that's the shop for now. So I'm hoping to once these lights come in, they're coming in a few days. I'm hoping that I can add to the 4 that I have up here, so I'll have 14, and then that should bring enough light into here where I can start making YouTube videos again. I hope the sound quality is good on this. I don't have a mic yet either, which wasn't a problem because my last garage was so quiet. And then I also built a YouTube studio upstairs. So that's going to be inside this. We're going to do all the filming from now on, like the talking heads and all that other stuff, which I'm currently building a desk for that my wife's going to use for her work from home right now, because she's working from home. And then when she's, you know, back in the office, I'll be able to, you know, take back my territory. But yeah, so I mean, that's the shop. I do like having the table saw in the middle. That's really nice, and I like being able to use parts of it as like an assembly table and stuff like that. I just need to figure out a better setup for it that'll make it easier to like walk to the places I need to go. Order of operations is important right now. I just kind of stuck stuff where I thought would work, and I got to tweak it to make it better. So yeah, that's the shop, and hopefully you guys like this video, and you can give me I would love to hear suggestions of how you guys did. Like, I know a lot of you guys are working in 1-car, 2-car garages or sheds. One of my Patreon members, he is building a little, like, it's like a 10 by 12 shed in his backyard right now that he's going to be working in, so I'm sure he would love to hear all of the space saving techniques that you guys have. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.